So it's been a really, really satisfying exercise for me, a really cool project. One of the most wonderful things was, I think, and during the opening was, and I'm hard of hearing, but I was listening to people seeing themselves in the paintings, seeing themselves represented as miners, as mining people, as mining families, as people who are connected to a mine. Because, yeah, one guy is standing there and saying, see here, this is where I used to shovel when I was 16. And then I broke my shoulder, and boy, my dad was mad. You know, like that's all these little stories. Or Hud Bay Blue, the Hud Bay Blue doors. It was really important that I include those doors because without those, come on in, guys. We get you sure. No? Okay.
I can see you better.
So the Hud Bay Blue doors helped me establish scale throughout the pieces. And I have a few larger ones in the works, so there'll be more of that using the doors to show that something is like 4 stories high and 5 stories wide, and you know, so people can figure out how big this thing is. I think it was Dale told me it's 623 hectares is the area that's fenced around the company.
How many square
Where
miles is that?
That's you.
Approximately 623 hectares. I can't remember. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast, Gary.
Yeah, my source. So, yeah, the Hud Bay Blue, one woman was in here, she says, oh, I recognize that blue. And I said, oh, what's that about? I said, well, our kitchen cabinets were painted that blue.
Technically.
So that was hugely rewarding to me. That people were looking at the pieces and seeing themselves represented. And I did not know that was going to happen. Like I did not have a clue. So I'm thinking that you know, there's a lot of flin-flonners out there in Winnipeg wandering around random, you know, they need to come to the show so they can see themselves. It will be great. So I'm gonna make sure I can get down there in the spring and be there for a few of the days that it hangs there. But here, showing here, yeah, that was pretty cool, really neat. And a lot of you were at the opening, and thank you for coming to that as well. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, what am I trying to get at with some of these pictures? One of the things I really enjoyed was doing these little studies over here. They're fun. They're like doing little postcards, but they have almost as much detail, right, as the bigger ones. But you get to work it out, what the problems are, what the perspectives are that you really want to get right. Because there's so much going on at the company, there's so much detail. I mean, there's asbestos hanging from, you know, this, and there's 75 wires going from here to there. Well, you can't use 75, you might use 5, right? Yeah. Although some people, Karen, was that you? This is 2020. So I had to learn how to see better than I was, and how to see in an almost geometric way because there's so many streets. But you know, the company was built, like so much of those buildings were built in the 20s. And they weren't built by carpenters, right? So now, with the metal cladding having fallen off, there's whole areas where you can see like how a joist was made. Like I know enough about joists being made because my husband talks about it all the time, and beams and whatever. And you're looking at this and you're going, no wonder it kind of sounds like because the metal cladding's falling off, and before it looked just fine, right? Anyway, so there's all sorts of things that are revealed, I guess, when I went in 2023 and was taking these photos, because some of the buildings were kind of naked. They'd lost their clothing, and you could see the actual structure underneath. And so in April, I have a show here of photographs. So I have to take those 1,000 pictures and figure out 20 to put up here. Yeah. So yeah, this has legs, and I think probably for the foreseeable future, I'll be coming back to it again and again. And Hudbay has actually said they'll talk to me about, maybe visiting again. So that's grand. All right, I think that's pretty well all I have to say about that.
I want to know which picture was the first one that you painted. I said, I want to know which picture was the first one that you painted.
The first one I painted, what a great question. This little one is the first one. And you know this piece of wood? Lois Peterson gave me that piece of wood. It's just a piece of wood. Yeah, the shape, you get the shape of it, right? You can see that shape, right? Obviously, I've loved it, right? And kept going to it. And when I first showed it, I was at a retreat in Sagami, and we had to talk about the piece. So I was saying, well, this is a picture from the company. It's from outside the fence. I've been trying to get permission to go inside the fence, but they're not ready to have me tromping around yet. So this is from outside the fence. And one of the artists put up their hand and said, what's the company? And that was probably where I thought, okay, we need to keep so that was my very first one. It has all sorts of probably interpretive marks on it that are maybe different than what I would do now, because this is like 4 years ago and my painting's evolved a certain amount. But I think it's quite charming. It has this light touch for a very sort of complicated subject. And so I found it encouraging what people said about it and continued. Yeah. So that was the first one.